Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are about an hour after market close on Wednesday, August 25th. We're going to take a look at Bark today. Bark was requested in the comments in a previous video, and so if you have a ticker that you would like to see me cover, feel free to put that ticker symbol in the comments below. If I reply and say that I've added it to the list, then you know that I've seen it. If I don't, please drop it again in a future video because I sometimes just cannot catch all of the comments when they're all sort of mixed together. Okay, so Bark, obviously a couple of things to stand out, and I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. But on this pretty challenging downtrend at the moment, this is both pretty steep downtrend and has been holding. I mean, I know that it popped itself out here, but when I look at a channel, I look for it to just capture about 90-95% of the price action. And so even including this, if we say here's about where it started to come into the channel, this has been since June 1st, and it's been a pretty rapid descent down with some pretty big days. I mean, you see here minus over 15% on that day, 9%, 8.53. So pretty rough days, and now today it's stringing together a few it's stringing together a bit of an uptrend at the moment, but it's still caught sort of in the midline of this channel. So in my mind, it really needs to establish itself out of this channel in order to make anything happen. And even if that kind of means that it moves sideways for a while and just gets some distance from the channel. Now, I would just mention also what can happen with these oftentimes when they leave a long-term channel is if they leave it, even if they leave it on an uptrend, they'll often come down and retest that channel, which can be a pretty quick drawdown after a bit of a recovery period. And so I would just be cautious of that. I'm not saying that it will for sure, I don't know, but just something to be aware of and to not be too, I guess, shocked about if it does happen here with Bark. Now, the other thing, it's not having any good luck with the typical things that you'd look for, like establishing over the 20 MA. It tried to make a run for that here, but I guess part of what happened there was it established over the 20, but then it just hit its head on the top bound of the channel and got pushed back. And similarly over here, it established over and ran itself up through the upper bound, but then came right back down in. So in my mind, I don't know that the 20 MA will provide that much support. I think it really just has to get itself out of this channel through hook or crook, like regardless of whether or not it has support over the 20 MA or not. And we do see here a bullish cross, the 20 crossing over the 50. Didn't really add that much support. I don't know exactly what was happening in this period. I don't know if that was like a lockup had expired or something. It sort of reminds me of SoFi a little bit, in that sense, where there was this pretty massive sell-off just day after day after day. That was because a lockup had expired. But I don't know enough about Bark. I think it came on board via SPAC, though, but I'm not super familiar. Formerly Northern Star Acquisition Corp. Yeah, so I assume that's a SPAC. But just looking at the chart now, that to me is the biggest thing. It's got to get out of this channel, even if that's through sideways motion, and then sort of see if there's anything to work with from there. Now, like upper supply and demand zones, there's just not a ton to work with because it's a bit in no man's land here at the moment. I mean, you have a little bit of a zone here potentially where there's this previous support and this previous resistance. Should be down a little bit, but 767, if it can flip that to support, that'd be the nearest opportunity for it to at least ride that wave to get itself out of the channel and then continue on its merry way. I do think it would be more worthwhile to take a look at it once it makes itself out, if it does. And the other obvious thing would be if it can follow this uptrend through, then that would help sort of get its support at that 767 level just as it's about to hit the upper bound of the channel. Who knows what the 20 MA is doing at that point? Again, it might not matter. And see if it's able to kick itself out there. And even if it falls back through, if it can catch on support of that 767, meaning if it comes out and does that thing that I just mentioned where it breaks the channel but then immediately comes down and starts retesting it, if it can break the channel on this uptrend and then get caught by that 767 as it falls down toward the channel again, then that could give it enough distance to get itself out. And then it just has to essentially establish some new parameters, some new framework for trend, essentially, be it with the MAs, be it with an up channel, what have you. On the indicator side of things, obviously we've been looking at the MAs. To throw in the MACD here, now this is on the daily chart, and the potential for a small bit of good news at the moment, which could help carry it to at least test the upper bound of this channel. It appears as though it wants to throw a bullish cross on the MACD in the next several trading days if it can continue to walk itself up this trend line. Obviously, it could bounce off and come back down further, but this most recent bearish momentum on the histogram appears to be dying down at the moment and didn't come down, meaning there wasn't as much bearish momentum as there was back here. This was both longer maintained and was more severe in its dip. And that was even less severe than this one. So we're sort of on a longer term trend of bearish momentum dying down, but it's had a grip on this one for so long and it's just been able to consistently push it down even through like a reduction in overall bearish pressure that it's put the stock in a pretty catastrophic state. Now I did flip over and take a look. What am I saying? I took a look at the short interest just to see if the stock has been beaten down so much, to have short sellers come in to really try to take advantage. And as far as I can tell, they haven't. Per Ortex, a small amount to the free float is being shorted, and doesn't look like they've hopped in at this point. Now, if tip ranks hadn't just, oh, this is annoying. Okay, so tip ranks, the degree to which this is helpful in any way, shape, or form, they are showing an average consensus from these three buy ratings on Bark, which you wouldn't expect with a chart that looks like this, but take it for what you will. $15.33, which is over 100% upside. So the degree to which that convinces any institutions or retail in large quantities to try to profit from this stock based on those 3 buy ratings and no holds and no sells and a really good upside, if that consensus target can be reached, then that could help string the stock along and at least get it out of this downtrend. But for the time being, it definitely just needs some good catalysts to come through. Don't have any large-scale orders coming in today. Mostly large-scale orders drawing down over the last few days. A few coming in, but mostly outflow. So just not a lot going for it at the moment, other than this, few-day uptrend, potential bullish crossover, but that has to happen. And then could see what happens if a distance between itself and this